Uh, I think we can start now, Mr. Sukiman.
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. And Alex, what's about your audio?
Yes. Good morning.
Working now? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam
Waalaikumsalam
Waalaikumsalam.
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Good morning, all, and especially for Alex. Good morning. Oh, I'm sorry. In Indonesia, we are a good afternoon, actually. Yeah. Good afternoon for all of you, all of the participants, and it's my colleagues here, Mr. Sukirman PhD, and also Mr. Hardika Dwi Hermawan as a lecturer of informatics engineering education in Universitas Muhammadiyah Surakarta. Alex, maybe you just saw our video, and maybe I will give you a short introduction that we are from Universitas Muhammadiyah Surakarta, which is like I mean, maybe like 2 hours flight from Jakarta, of the capital city of Indonesia, and we are from a private university. Actually, I'm sorry, I want to just giving you some brief. Yes, this is who we are. Maybe you are not the just not familiar with us because maybe in Indonesia, is it your first time invited by Indonesian? Yeah, I
Yes,
hope that
yes, yes.
this is not your end, because I hope that in the future you will still with us, you know. Okay, it's an honor to welcome you here as our guest speakers in this course. I mean, the course is like educational games that is has been lectured by Mr. Zuckerman as a lecturer of game educational games, and I think here you will deliver the topics about motivation design and gamification for learning processes that I think it is gonna be uh, really sweet the students and the outcome of this course, I mean. And here I will give you a short introduction that Universitas Muhammadiyah Surakarta is has a good reputation also, in especially in Indonesia. We have number one or top one among private universities in Central Java, and then we have in the second position amongst Muhammadiyah affiliated universities, and globally we are around 100 and 1,300, I think, 1,300 and 1,014, and according to Time Higher Education World, we are like second in nationals, among private university also, and 1,200 in worldwide. But yeah, it's just a short introduction for us that maybe, yeah, you know that maybe in the future we can still get in collaboration with you, especially our TUD, and maybe, yeah, another top university in the Europe. And speaking about our event today, maybe before we jump to the topic, we will have Mr. Sukirman to give us some welcoming speech.
Okay. Assalamualaikum.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Dias.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Mr. Dias. Good morning, Alex. Okay. I'm happy to see you, and today we will have a lecture from you. I will introduce my students. This is our student in sixth semester, and now they take educational game of the cost of educational game in our institution or our program study. There is a course. The name is educational game, and this is they are in the sixth semester, and they still just studying about game and the element and the game mechanism and all of about the game. And for the future, they will study about uh, game-based learning and then the theory underpinnings and all about educational game and the apa namanya about the games education. This course from you, Alex, it is very relevant about about motivation design and gamification for learning process. This is a good topic, and I hope our student will uh, accept from your lecture today, and I hope they will exciting. I hope they will exciting and they will they will get a good lecture from you. I think that's all, Mr. Diaz.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Sukiman, for your welcoming speech. And I think we will have around 35 minutes until 40 minutes, Alex. You can present and you can do everything as you want. And after that, we will be have Q&A sessions. Maybe we will be running until 11:15 as scheduled. But if there is some extension, I think it's still okay. So just take your time while you are presenting your presentations, and yeah, just okay. I think it's all for me also. Just I'll give the time to you. You are in presenter view now.
I'm sorry. Once again, I tried.
Yes,
Should be this one, yeah.
yes, this one.
Perfect.
Yes, maybe I will run my timer so you can control your pace. It
Yes,
maybe
I
yeah.
have a timer on my own. It is okay.
Okay, okay.
I will just run it on my phone. Yes, then hello from my side. Guten Tag from Germany. Good afternoon to Indonesia. My name is Alexander Klaus. I feel very honored to be your guest lecturer today. Thank you very much, Dias Aziz Pramudita, for inviting me to talk about today about the topic of motivation design, gamification for learning processes. Hopefully, my introduction into the topic is not too basic for your students because I feel that they are very advanced and very deep into the topic. So, but we will see. Sometimes it's also good to go back to the basics again and reflect a bit on that. We will see. To
Yes.
introduce myself, I studied Masters of Business Education, which is the link between education and business processes. I'm head of the office of our e-learning working group of the Federal State of Saxony, where I am responsible for the topic of e-learning at all state universities in our federal state. I'm also research associate at the TU Dresden, which is one of Germany's excellence universities. And there I'm working at the Center for Open Digital Innovation and Participation, short CODIP, with Professor Köhler as our supervisor. In my teaching, I am responsible for the topics of community management, e-tutor qualification and supervision, learning analytics in community management, and also responsible for international projects. Today, I want to talk about the basics of motivation to give you a very brief start into the topic. Then I want to talk about gamification basics, get them back in your mind, talk about designing gamification, different gamification elements, and at the end, I want to have a short conclusion with you. So I would say we jump right into the topic without losing any time. First topic, motivation basics. As you know, motivation is the basic for all gamification and all gaming processes. If we designing games, if we designing gamification elements, we always try to aim for people's human motivation. But what is motivation? The topic of motivation includes the goal orientation of a certain behavior, the beginning and end of a comprehensive behavioral stage, the restart of an action after an interruption, and also the change to a new behavioral state, and also the conflict between different behavioral goals and their realization is a part of motivation. Motivation has like three basic essential components. Number one is arousal. Arousal is the drive for energy that triggers an action. Direction is the second point. Direction is determined by personal decisions about which destination is selected. Do I want to achieve something, or do I want to keep away from something and protect myself from a thing? And the next basic component of motivation is maintenance. The behavioral persistence refers to those factors that contribute to the performance of a behavior until a goal is achieved. So it basically means how long I keep going, how long I keep being interested, how long I keep learning, how long I keep working. So we have those three elements. Arousal as the energy that pushes you to start. Direction is where are you going? Are you aiming for something, or aim or try to prohibit something and go not in this direction? And maintenance is how much effort you put in, how active you are. As most of you know, we have a somehow basic understanding of motivation. Motivation can be motivated by extrinsic and intrinsic motivational factors. Extrinsic motivation occurs when the realization of an action goal and the associated rewards or sought or punishment is avoided. And intrinsically motivated behavior result from the execution of the action itself. So basically, it means that intrinsic motivation is everything that you're doing from your own, focus on yourself, motivated by yourself, and not motivated by anyone else. So things you really want to do. And extrinsic motivation are all those things who are or which are motivated by circumstances around you. People pushing you to do, your parents asking you to be active, your boss giving you money to do a task. All those factors are extrinsic factors. Also, the marks you get in university are extrinsic factors. For example, intrinsic factors are things that motivate you also to do things in your free time. For example, playing football, you just like it. You like to move your body, you like to go outside, so you're intrinsic motivated. What is really important is that extrinsic and intrinsic motivation are not necessarily incompatible. In good situations, intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation are combined in a very, very meaningful way and add to each other. In the next step, I want to give you a short overview about different types of content theoretical models for work motivation. So what does people motivate in learning processes and working processes? And therefore, I brought some basic models which I do not want to go into in detail, but I think We will send out the slides later on via Dias. So I have put links behind all those different models, and you can have a look in them, and maybe you also know them already. So we have the motive classes by Maslow. It is a pyramid that where you have to complete different steps to reach the next level. We have different other models which are really important, but I think you can check them out on your own. One basic model I brought to you because I find this one is very interesting and maybe also a bit funny is the job satisfaction model. The job satisfaction or job characteristics model was done by Heckman and Oldman in 1980, and it allows you to somehow calculate your own job satisfaction or learning satisfaction with a very simple formula. So the formula is, if it's moving, yes. The formula is skill variety plus task identity plus task significance calculated through three multiplicated with autonomy and multiplicated with feedback, and this sums up to your job satisfaction. Sounds like a pretty easy formula, but I will explain it a bit in detail for you. So skill variety is the degree to which a job requires various activities, requiring workers to develop a variety of skills and talents. So you don't need to do the same thing over and over again. So you have different tasks, different things that are motivating for you because you have you are not doing the same thing hours and hours again. Task identify is the degree to which the job requires the job holders to identify and complete a work piece with visible outcomes. So you understand why you are doing the job. You see what is the outcome of your job, of your learning process. You understand why you're doing it. The next factor is task significance. The task significance is the degree to which the job affects other people's lives. Does it help other people's? Is it important for other people's? Does it make sense for other people's? These factors are calculated through three and then multiplied with autonomy. Autonomy means the degree to which the job provides the employee with significant freedom, independence, and discretion to plan out the work and determine the procedures in the job. So how individual you can work, how autonomously you can work. So you have your own space, you can make your own decisions, you have freedom to decide. This is what autonomy means. And feedback is the degree to which the worker has knowledge of the results and also the feedback you get from your supervisors and bosses. So getting clear information whether your work is good or not that good helps also in this process. And if you have those factors, you can calculate them and find out how much job or learning satisfaction you have. The problem with this formula is that we don't have standardized measures to measure skill variety and task identity. And it usually only works if you have like an old job and a new job and you want to compare them with each other so you can find your own measurements to measure that. But just keep the different elements of this satisfaction model in mind because we will see them returning when we talk about gamification. So that was my very brief start into the topic of motivation. I think you know most of the topics, but I think we just have to repeat them for a second because they will become relevant in the next step when we talk about gamification basics. Why are we doing gamification? One of the biggest challenges in e-learning and online learning courses is just finding a way to keep participants' motivation constant. If we're thinking about MOOCs or big online courses, the completion rates for those online courses are very low if the people are only intrinsic motivated. They vary from 0.7 to 52.1 percent, which means that most of the people lose motivation in those e-learning courses and learning processes and jump out of it. And designing gamification helps them to keep them motivated and keep them updated and integrated into the course. So, what is gamification? As you're all are from the gaming world, it is very important to have a clear definition of gamification. Gamification is the introduction of game elements into existing processes or objects which are not playful per se. It is easier to describe what is gamification by describing what is not gamification. Gamification is not if you reflect the normal working environment virtual. Imagine a simulation of a cockpit of an airplane where you have all those measurements, all those instruments, all those flying joystick to train you to be a pilot. This is a simulation. This is not gamification, as it is a reflection of the normal working world in a virtual way. Also, working with those VR shades is not gamification. It is a reflection of the normal working environment in a virtual way. Also, every game at work is not gamification. So if you're bored in your free time and you play like Candy Crush or different games on your smartphone while working or while in the university, is not a gamification. It is just a game you do at work. Also, all the games with company context are not gamification. There are a lot of games done by soda providers like Coca-Cola or Red Bull, where you can ride a bicycle down the hill and it is somehow an advertisement for the company, but it is not gamification. And also the use of independent learning games in e-learning. For example, in a vocabulary trainer where you have to move things according to the right words, it's also not gamification. Gamification is only using game elements in a context which is not a gaming context. So, what is gamification? Gamification means you use game design elements in an environment which is not a game context. It is a design strategy, it is human-centered, and it is focused on the people's motivation. It tries to trigger participation and involvement and is focused on emotions. If you're looking at the graph here on the left side, you see that serious games means that you have a whole environment and put it all in a game. Toys mean you have a whole environment and it is only focused on playing. And if you have partly the design of an environment and it is focused on playing, we talk about playful design. And gamification means we have parts of a thing, of a learning process, of your working process, and we add certain game elements to this environment. So this is when we're talking about gameful design or gamification. How can I make this one out? Sorry. So gamification is a strategy for the learner-centered and motivation-enhancing design of learning situations and learning environments through the use of different game elements. What are the basics that we need if we want to design gamification or a game? Maybe you talked about that, but maybe not in this way. We have like 4 basic elements we need for every game, for every gamification situation. Number 1 is meaning. People are motivated when they feel their work contributes to something large. It helps others, it is important for them, it touches them. So, meaning means the desire to do something that has a meaning or is important. And this is a very central point because if you're designing game elements or gamification elements, you need to find out who is your target group and what has a meaning for them, what is important for them. And it is not that the same things have an importance for all the people. It is usually not a one size fits all solution. It means one thing that has a very high meaning for a person has must not have a very high meaning for another person. So I know that yes, Aziz is very interested in football, and maybe football related or game related things motivate him, but maybe other persons are not that motivated by competition and sports things. They are motivated by other things. So you need to find out what motivates your stakeholders, your target group, your students, if you want to design a game. Another way to create a meaning is to build a little story around it. The idea is if something is not per se meaningful for the peoples, you wrap it in a little story to make it more important, to make it more meaningful, and use a story as a gamification element. So you wrap something in a story to give more meaning to it. So if you see this little fella here on the left-hand side, every day after school, he's going the same way home, and it is a very boring way. Um, it's always the same, and it took him 10 minutes. But our little fella here is very clever. As the way home is very boring, he adds a little story to it. And the little story is the following. He says that if he steps on the full plate, it's always a safe space. And if he steps on the lines here, it is lava. So he creates a little story around his boring way home to give it more meaning and make it more interesting. And this leads to the situation that every time this little fella goes home, he has one of the most adventurous and most interesting way home. It is a big mission, it has a great story, and it has more meaning for him. So the way home is not boring because it is very adventurous as he is moving through different fields, and he needs to take care that he's not falling down. So if the meaning is not given per se, you can add a little story to give a situation a meaning. That means that you can also use those stories in learning contexts to give boring learning contexts more meaning and make them more interesting for your stakeholders and for your students or for your learners. The next thing that is important if you design a game or use gamification elements is the feeling of mastery, the focus on power, the feeling to achieve something, to be competent in one thing, creates fun and motivates people to participate. So people are motivated when they can see a progress and continuously improve their skills. An interesting task usually consists of different goals which are visible and the same goals for everyone and very clear rules. So everybody understands the rules and they are visible and clearly based on each other. In Europe, we often have the situation that when little kids play board games with each other or games with each other, they start to change the rules of the game while playing to make it easier for them to win. And the other kids playing with them are usually upset with this. And then they start shouting at each other and throwing the board game in the air and stop playing with each other. Why is that so? Because the kids are changing the rules in course of the game, and this demotivates the other people's playing games with them. So if you want a game to be successful, you need very clear goals. What is the aim of the game? What are the rules of the game? And you need to describe them to every student, to every learner, to make them clear. What should I do to win this game? What should I do to be number one in this game? And the rules for all the people should be the same, that the game can work and the gamification elements can work. The last thing you need is autonomy. Autonomy means that people perform better and feel more satisfied when they have freedom over what they do, how they do it, when they do it, and with whom they work. So the feeling to be self-directed, to have your own space to work on. I'm not sure if you have things like that in Indonesia, but these playgrounds for kids where you can modulate something with sand. It is just a sandbox, but you can create everything from your mind in it. Kids build mountains from it. Kids build tunnels from it. They build racetracks. So they have a safe space where they can decide, where they're self-responsible, and everything they do it for their own. They can decide how they do it, so they have some autonomy and also something to play with. And those four elements are or actually three elements are the basic principles of gaming. So meaning, mastery, and autonomy. If we're looking at the question how we should design gamification, we will find out that not all gamification elements work the same for every person. And this is why we have so-called player types. So player types are the description of the different types of players, the different motivation of players. So, and Marchevsky, he has a very great website. You should visit that. I have it linked on the slides as well. Said there are certain player types with which are motivated by different things. So number one is our philanthropists. Philanthropists are people who are really social minded. They are users that like to take over responsibilities. They care for others. They need a big goal. They need a higher meaning. They need a deeper understanding. And they are looking for some inherent benefit. Often, tutors and supervisors in social projects or associations, and also professors are such philanthropist people. The next player type is the socializer. Socializers are very motivated by social relationships, motivated by interacting with each other. So they have a very social basis, but they are also interested in communicating and comparison with each other. The third type is the player. The player type is the most basic gamification guy. Players are those people who are interested in being number one, being the leader on a leaderboard, being the best. So the sporty guys, they are very focused on their own advantages. They are strongly driven by classic gamification. They want to be the best. They want to be on the first places. They want to win, so they experience an action as a main motivation. If we are moving further to our achiever are people who want to expand their knowledge. They are looking for challenges. They're always looking for the next step. They want to see their own progress. So they are looking for clearly communicated goals. They are very development driven, and they want to move up the ladder step by step, move through different levels, and they want to understand facts in their complexity. The next player type are free spirits. Free spirits want creative freedom. They want new unconventional paths, and they want to be creative and create their own things. And another very interesting player type is our disruptor. Disruptor wants to disrupt existing systems and find gaps. They want to find ways around to sneak in, to cheat, maybe to program something on their own. If we're looking at the question what motivates those player types, we will see that it is really different from player type to player type. Just to have a quick look in it. If we're looking on the philanthropists, philanthropists are interested in serious fun. They are interested in knowledge sharing. They are interested in taking care of others. Socializers are more motivated by people fun, interacting with each other, but also on social status and social pressure. If we are looking at our player, our sports guy, we will see that badges, prizes, trophies, leaderboards, all those things motivate him. If we're talking about the achiever, we will see that levels, different quests, moving step by step, seeing your own progress, how far you have become, help him a lot. Free spirits are those guys who are looking for easy fun. They are looking for Easter eggs, customization, creativity tools. If you're thinking about the gaming world, maybe the free spirit types would be those persons who play Minecraft, where you where you can create everything on your own, modulate your own world. And if we're thinking about the disruptors, we were we are talking about people who are looking for an innovation platform, development tools, and autonomy. So disruptors would be those people who create their own mods for programs, use cheats, find way around to modify games. Another thing which is really important as a basic are gamification elements. So if we're talking about gamification elements, we have this pyramid. At the top of the pyramid, we have dynamics. Dynamics are the highest form of abstraction. So the emotion I want to create, which cannot be directly integrated into the game. Such an emotion can be the feeling of competition, the feeling of happiness, the feeling of frustration, but also the feeling of relationship building or social interaction. Mechanics are the principles of the game that arouse a user's commitment and stimulate their activity. So mechanics can be challenges, competition, random elements, feedback, etc. And down at the bottom, we have the components, so elements which are implemented for this example. For example, points, virtual goods, um, etc. So to give you an example how it works, the dynamic I want to create is the feeling of competition. That a person is motivated by the feeling of he wants to be the best, he wants to be number one. So this is the dynamic I want to create. The mechanics I can use for that are that I will give points for answers in an intranet or in a forum with reaction and rewards, which can be collected on a leadership board and made visible. So this is the mechanic that I'm using, and the components which I need for those mechanics are then a leaderboard displaying points and also the possibility to collect points for the most helpful answer. So it helps you. So the components and the mechanics help you to create the mechanics, the dynamics you want. As you have seen, we have different player types. And all those different player types are interested in different gamification elements. So therefore, Marchewski created on the website gamify.uk a big matrix that allows you to find out which gamification elements are helpful for the different player types. We will have a very short look into it. So if you're more interested in gamification elements, I think this website will help you a lot. there are general gamification elements in detail. So the website is gamified.uk. And such general gamification elements are elements that work for all player types, like tutorials, progress feedback, and time pressures. Also, if you're planning games, random rewards, fixed reward schedule, and some time-dependent rewards are a gamification element that works for everyone. But if you want to have a deeper look and also find game elements that are aiming for different player types, you can also have a look on the website and find out which gamification elements help for which player type. So if you click on socializers, you will see gamification elements that are basically only focused on socializers. For example, social status, social pressures, and competition. And if you click on them, you will receive a detailed description of how they work and in which context they can be used. Our colleagues at Codip created an oversight to make it visible which different player types should use which game elements. I think it is not the time by now to go in detail for all those game elements, but we will send you the slides afterwards, and you can go to the website of Marchewski and have a look into these different game elements on your own. Also, it is possible on the website to find an standardized to find out which player type you are and then design some game elements which are helpful for you. So to sum it up, gamification elements can be everything you know from games. Different rules, different feedback mechanisms, progress bar, rankings, challenges, virtual currencies, stories, point, badges, avatars, levels, quests, experience points, etc., etc. And combining them in a meaningful way, you should also always ask yourself the question, what is my goal to include this gamification, and what motivates um, my users or my learners. If we are talking about gamification in practice, we will see that, for example, Duolingo, which is a very well-known language learning platform, is using gamification. You can earn experience points, you have daily streaks and leaderboards as gamification element. Another gamification platform is Kahoot, which is a live quiz platform for classrooms and online learning where you can create a competitive environment and boost the engagement. Also, Classcraft, which is a World of Warcraft looking like RPG, which can be used for learning processes. Here you can earn different experience points for good behavior and teamwork, and also lose your health points if you have negative factors. I just want to have a very short conclusion at the end because I think it's very important. You should always ask yourself the question to gamify or not to gamify, because there is a dark side of gamification. Number one, if you want to use gamification, always consider that life is not a game. Points, badges, and leaderboards may be critical elements of game mechanics, but they have little bearing in real life. In real life situations, you don't earn points if you learn well. You don't get badges directly if you learn well. So it is something that is added. Games can also lead to the point that they trivialize serious issues. If you want to create a game, you need to break things down, make them easier to understand, and then somehow there is the risk of trivializing serious topic. Also, games may reinforce the wrong mindset. if you have a competition element, it leads to the point that your learners are competing with each other. They are not collaborating, not working together. They have a competition. So they're trying to win the game. Which can contaminate their motivation. So what happens if you don't give them points anymore? If you don't give them badges anymore, will they still be motivated or not? And it also leads to the point that games will always be gamed. So if you add gamification elements, people trying to win, they're trying to be the number one, they try to be the best. So they will want to find out how the games work, and they care more about winning instead of learning. So, short conclusion, if you want to include gamification, think about what is the reason to include gamification. How does it benefit the students? Ask yourself, will they enjoy it? Are they interested in the gamification elements you've chosen? Are they all the sports guy? Are they all interested in being the best or number one? And you need to recognize if your users are motivated by achievement of goals or enjoyment of experience. Are they motivated by structure and guidance or freedom to explore? Um, are they motivated by control of others or connecting with each other? And are they motivated by self-interest in actions or social interest in actions? So, most important, do not implement gamification if you're not willing to provide value feedback and reward positive behaviors. And acknowledging and rewarding good performance, whether that might be, is the most important aspect of gamification and needs to be taken seriously and prioritize. So always ask yourself the question, what are my goals? What behavior I want to foster with my gamification elements? These are my references, and I want to say thank you for your audience. And now I'm up to for all your questions.
Thank you, Alex. Maybe guys, we can give applause to our speakers today. Yeah, virtual applause.
Thank
Yeah.
you very much.
And yeah, thank you, Alex, for your amazing presentations about the motivational games behind the games before we design the game, what we should do, what we should consider. I think it's interesting. But we can start to the questions and answer sessions now. Anybody who want? Oh, Erwin has raised his hand. Please, Erwin.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity to ask some question. My name is Erwin, and I'm wanna ask about the educational game. Um, Mr. Alex, I just want to ask you, what are the boundaries that define a game as an educational game? Because as far as I know, there's a lot of story-based game that teaching us a valuable lesson in different ways, like the life is strange is like teaching us about the issue like mental health, bullying, and personal choice. And the other example is maybe God of War game because they teaching us about a Greek mythology. So maybe can you explain to us what are the boundaries that define a game as an educational game? Thank you.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Please, Alex.
Thank you very much. Very interesting and important question. I think what you're referring to is more if you want to have something that is quite a bit different from gamification. So gamification is only the use of certain game elements and put it into professional context, into rather boring contexts like your um, learning modules, like your learning things. And what you described is more the serious games part, the educational games part, where you have a whole environment and put it into a game situation. But I think all those things that are described about the basic principles that you should care for are still important. You need to find out what gives your players meaning, what is important for them, and what motivates them. And also, you should reflect on what player types are them. Because if they all, I would say, looking for freedom and design creativity, and you have a very strict learning paths with different levels where they have one direction to go straight, and no way to maneuver around, they will not be satisfied with the game. So you also, if you want to use those games properly, you need to find out who is your target group. And if you're talking about the boundaries, I think, like you described, those aspects still come into my mind, because if you want to create a game on a very complex topic like mental health care, etc., you will quickly reach a point where you see that you cannot cover the whole topic of mental health care with just one game. And maybe that leads to the point that you need to trivialize things, and you need to be very careful on selecting different points and different elements. And also, I think the number four is really important. Please also consider the unintended things, that people are trying to win the game and not caring about mental health, and then they maybe act completely different than you expect them to, just to collect points, just to be the best in the game. So I think you need to reflect very critically. It was a more general answer, but I hope it still helped you, Erwin.
Okay, thank you. It helps me a lot, Mr. Alex.
Thank you. Any more questions?
Yes. Okay, thank you, Erin. Any more questions, guys? Or you can just ask in Indonesians. It's no problem for you if you are feeling shy in speaking in English. Brahma, yeah. Okay, will you ask question in English?
Okay, I will ask with English.
Okay.
Actually, Mr. Alex Nicholas, I would like to ask a question. Before that, let me introduce myself. My name is Brahma Syaraka Purnama. In this class, I have a question that I'm still curious about that. That is especially regarding Mazuski player type in gamification. Uh, my question is Mazuski divide player into six type. That is philanthropist, socializer, player, achiever, free spirit, and disruptor. Each of them is motivated by different factors such as purpose, relentlessness, rewards, mastery, autonomy, and sense. In designing a gamified learning system, how do we can balance this motivation to ensure that all type of players stay engaged? Additionally, do you think one player type is more dominant or influential in educational gamification? Thank you, sir.
It's a very powerful question. Thank you very much, Brahma, for the interesting question. That's the timer, yeah?
No, just ignore it. It's
Oh,
the timer for your presentation actually. Yeah, just
yes.
ignore
All
it.
right. I'm sure that it will never be possible for you to design a game that calls for all the different player types at the same time. So usually, if you want to design a game, you should be able to find out in advance which player types you want to attract. And this decision is design decision, but it's also a strategic decision because imagine if you designing a game that is focused for business guys in business education. Do you want them to be disruptors or philanthropists, or do you want them to be more the player type or the achiever type? Or imagine you're designing a game for nurses or and people are working in the hospital. Do you want them to be disruptors or free spirits? No. You want them to be socializers, achievers, maybe philanthropists. But it is a strategical decision also which game elements you choose for the design. So there are standardized tests to find out which player types people are. You will find them on the gamification website by Marchewski and use them for your studies. But it can be also a strategic decision. If you want your learners to be more the player types, then you use gamification elements that foster players. You use badges, virtual leaderboards, and if you want them to be more socialized, you can use the other tools. I think you can also think it this way around because it is not possible to create a game that fits all those player types the same way. And you also ask the question if there are numbers that say that most of the learners are like players or socializers. It is very difficult to say because it is very independent of the or interdependent with the context. So we have some studies about that, but they are not really clear. We have a study that find out that business guys are more player types and people which are studying in social fields are in this direction, but you cannot generalize it that much. So another idea would be to use adaptive gamification elements, to use like technologies that find out which type of players are you players and then give them the game elements they are interested in. But I think that's really difficult to develop. So my tip would be to focus on the strategic type that you want to address in your learning field or subject field. What should be the outcome?
Yeah. Okay, great answer, Alex. So yeah, I think it's better to just address of one of type of so we can have a specific games, and
Yes.
the purpose of the game will be just will be better. Okay, Brahma, I another response.
Nothing, sir. That's enough. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, thank you. Obi Tama. Okay, please, Obi.
Okay. Uh, my name is Sobitama. I want to ask Mr. Alex about player types. They are interconnected and become a healthy ecosystem cycle for the game. What happens if there is no one of them? This problem can occur especially in games that are categorized by a player as pay to win game. Thank you.
Wait, did you get the points, Alex?
I missed the first part of the question. It is
Yes,
about prioritization. Yeah.
I think
Did
so.
you?
I also, because there is some audio distractions. So maybe, Obitama, please can you repeat your questions once more time?
Okay. I want to ask about player types. They're interconnected and become a healthy ecosystem cycle for the game. What happens if there is no one of them? This problem can occur especially in games that are categorized by a player
as pay to win game like MMORPG games or RPG game who player can be strong in game when he stop up he game pay the item or level at something like that. Uh, it's enough. It's my sound is clear.
Okay, okay. Do you get the questions, Alex? I will.
Yes,
I think I understand. Um,
Okay.
but it is somehow a bit difficult to answer. I would strongly recommend not to include such buy to win elements into educational games where you can buy extra loot, can buy extra experience, because they may give an imbalance to the game which kills the motivation. But I never thought of it from this perspective. But I think I know what you're referring to, that in some online games you can buy additional skins, you can buy additional outfits and all those things to make you visible in the world. And it is a motivational factor in this world. But you know, the people who are designing those games, they have a different motivation than you should have in a learning environment. Because in a learning environment, your primary goal should be that people reach the learning outcomes that you expect to, and not to earn money. And in the professional gaming world, I think they are using those skins to keep or those buy to win features. They use them to make money out of it, and that's the main purpose. So I think you should focus on elements that foster somehow the qualification and your learning goals. And I'm not sure if such buy to win features are usable for that. But you can create motivation by giving people who learn the most additional extra points. And with these points, they can buy stuff in the shop. But it should be clearly for everyone that they earn those points with good learning and good training, and being very active, working on the learning goals, and not only spending money. It's a very general answer, but I don't have a better answer by now, because it is not that directly in my field of experience. But I hope it still helps.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. I think it doesn't make sense is for educational games that we can buy some cheating code or we can buy some
Yeah.
items to just gain the knowledge before we
Bypass ya.
study.
Bypass.
It's like a bypass. Yeah, I think it's okay. Good answer. Any response, Obitama?
uh, maybe not.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Obitama. We move to the other. There are two person. Yeah, yeah, maybe. Come on, yeah, yeah.
Okay, sir. Excuse me, sir. My name is Muhammad. And here I want to ask one question for Mr. Alex. That in the workplace, can companies use gamification approach to accommodate different player types and enhance employee productivity and engagement? Just enough.
Yes, it is somehow the clearly refers to my last answer. Um, you need to ask yourself the question, do you want to address a certain player type, or do you want to be your people like a certain player type? It is a general strategic question. And if you're thinking about an enterprise, you can have different goals. So if you have people who should be trained to sell many things and be good traders, you use the player type player to motivate them. You give them leaderboards, who sold the most products, who is the number one trader in the game, as you want to motivate them to put some extra efforts in it. But if you're using gamification in another way, maybe for the communication training, and you want them to be very friendly, you choose gamification elements that address the socializer part more, to train them to be social responsible, to communicate well, and you use those different elements. And if you maybe have a creative studio with graphic designers, you can also add free spirit features into gamification. Um, into the gamification elements where they can create their own things and be creative. So if you want to use gamification in your enterprise, it should be the first step, strategic decisions, which kind of behavior you want to motivate. And you also should reflect that very detailed, because if you're pushing too much on the player types, if your company is only focused on selling, 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 and everybody working in that company tries to be number one in the selling list on the leadership board, they will have a competition with each other, and they will not work with each other and collaborate. So they will not help each other, because everybody is looking for his own advantage. Everybody wants to be number one. So they try to push the others down and maybe also sabotage their sellings, and it can lead to very unintended consequences. So you must be very careful if you using gamification elements in an enterprise context.
Okay, thank you. Any response
No, sir.
from Yaya?
Enough, sir.
Enough, thank you. I think Leah, are you ready to ask a question, please?
Thank you for the opportunity to ask. It was said that one of the biggest challenges of a learning course is to find a way to keep the participant motivated consistent. Now, I would like to ask how a gamification can help keep a participant motivated in e-learning course. Because sometimes even learning has been packaged in game, if it is continuously used, it will feel bored.
It is a very good question, but it is a tough one. So basically, all I'm trying to say, and that's why I'm starting with motivation, is if you're designing e-learning courses, e-learning elements where you are afraid that people jump out, you need to find out at the beginning what motivates them to stay in. Why are they joining the course? What are the reasons why they are taking place? If everybody joins the course only to get a certificate at the end, because they don't see an added value for them, then you have to choose other gamification elements. Than if people are joining the course very on a mandatory level on their own skills. So what I'm trying to say is the idea of gamification is the idea of having an intensive reflection what motivates the people to join the courses, and then give them some elements they might fit. And one thing, there are also elements which help to motivate everyone. independent of the player types. For example, onboarding tutorials or a progress bar with feedbacks. Those are gamification elements which are so general that they help people to move through, because in enterprises they also use gamification for things that are somehow not important for everyone, but everybody have to do it. For example, some security advisement or some security trainings, and then you use those general gamification elements and just to keep the people motivated to move through. Yes,
Yeah.
that's a very
Always, yeah. We have to always understand our targets and participants.
yes.
Yeah,
Why?
behavior maybe. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Leah, do you want to any response?
No, sir, enough.
Okay, now because we have
Thank
another questions from Martina, please.
Thank you, Mr. Diaz. Okay, excuse me, sir. I want to ask. Before that, let me introduce myself. My name is Martina. In your opinion, can gamification can be a long-term solution to increase learning motivation, or is just a temporary boost? If so, what strategy can be used to keep gamification effective in the long term? Thank you.
That's
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
also a very good question, and also a tough one. Um, it is really difficult to answer, because I believe that all of the gamification elements lose their power from time to time. So if you're, I don't know, if somebody of you is using Duolingo,
Uh,
No.
do,
Kahoot yang biasa dipakai.
oh, yeah,
yeah, Kahoot,
maybe I
Kahoot.
explain it.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I explain it this way. Imagine a gamification element is introduced, and you're working every week, and you get those points, those experience points. It became somehow quite normal, and it loses the boost at the beginning. I totally agree with you by that, but it still can have a long lasting influence if it's focused on the um, organizational goals, on the primary learning goals. It can be something that motivates you through the process. But I think at the beginning, the motivation is bigger, is bigger. And you also, if you want to add gamification elements in your organization or in your enterprise, you can also think about updates. You start with a very small progress bar, and then you add additional things. So you're not going in with all gamification elements you have in mind, but maybe you can create the German word, I'm not sure which is the English word, but somehow a dramaturgy. So you start with a very basic element. You add something after 1 month, you add something after 2 months, and you add something after 3 months to make it more interesting. If you're thinking about computer games, after 1 year, they give you an update. They give you a download pack where you can have those things. And I think that's the same with gamification. You need to plan a bit ahead and start small and add some things, because, as you said, otherwise you don't have that long-lasting effect, because it gets lost in the progress. If you're doing it every day and you get those experience every day, I think they are not that much. It's also not motivating if you have like your first 100 experience points, your first 1000, but then maybe it loses the power to boost your motivation, I think. So think about different updates you can include.
Yeah. I think for entertainment scheme, like we can increase the challenges and we can even increase the rewards. Yeah, but it's rather difficult for in a serious games or educational games. Maybe, but Duolingo has a good example because I think it can hold longer to play
Yeah,
to
yes.
play the game. Yeah, yeah. Okay,
And
okay.
I
There are
have a
two.
problem that I have to leave in maybe 5 minutes or six. Is that okay?
Oh, no problem. Okay, okay. It's okay. I think
Because
they are
in my
still.
schedule it got it 11 only. So, but I still
Oh,
have time for two questions. Is that okay?
okay. Maybe this is going to the last questions. Maybe. What about this one?
Two. I think there are two hands up, so the two questions would be
Oh, yeah. Two. Okay, I think it's okay.
yes.
So, two more questions.
Yeah. So
It's okay for
I
you?
think
Okay.
Mohammed was the next one. Yeah.
Okay. Please, it's Nani.
Okay,
Make
thanks,
it
Mr.
quick.
Let me introduce myself. My name is Muhammad Isnani Kusuma. Let me ask some question to Mr. Alex. Uh, what ethical concern should be considered when we want to designing a gamified learning system in education, and how can gamification can be adopted into suite different learning style and different student preference?
Yes. I think that goes directly to these points that I mentioned here. You need to be very carefully if you want to use gamification elements. Think about, is the topic really a topic for a game? Is mental sickness something that should be addressed in a game where people try to win or compete with each other? Or is maybe a war or religious topics, are they really helpful with the game, or you have the risk to trivialize those things? You should always keep in mind that it can lead to ethical problems if you're using game elements, because people are gaming those games. I can give you a short example. In a learning situation, we created a leadership board for our students. And we imagined that the highest possible score in this course will be 10,000 experience points. You got those experience points by filling out your profile and answering your colleagues' questions. Therefore, you were able to collect those points. At the first day, the first place had like 10 points. On the second day, the first place had like 20 points. And then the students found out what is the mechanism behind it. How can we add points? And then they created little scripts, little protocols that were sending answers to the profile and changing it, and also created little protocols to cheat, simulating messages sent with each other, which led to the point that our servers crashed, and on day three, the number one player had like 1 million points, which was not in our concern. So, and now imagine that if you're not doing it in a university context, you're doing it in an enterprise context, and people are trying to manipulate each other, deleting your colleagues' information about customers, or trying to manipulate his car that he cannot go there and sell things. So um, be very carefully if you add those competitive elements, because it can lead to a situation where things are not that ethical correct, because people are trying to win the game and work against each other. So I think you should be very carefully and reflect about these dark sides of gamification or games. Does this help?
Yeah, I think it's we have to move to another questions. Last question, please, Haifa.
Hello, Mr. Alex. My name is Haifa Salsabila Azara. I want to ask, in disruptor, change innovation platform, development tools, social network, anonymity. And I'm still confused. What is the role of these troops in gamification and how do they affect the system? Thank you.
Yes. Mm, disruptors are very, very interesting. So, does any one of you play games on computers? On
Yeah,
laptops
what
or
is
more on
some?
smartphones?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
almost.
So I need to explain it from the computer gaming world. Imagine you have a game on a computer, and it is a car racing game, and such disruptors are people who add things to the game which are not which were not into the game. So a disruptor would program their favorite card into the game. They will change the how the game works. They will change the physics and change things to manipulate them and bring their ideas in. So they use a system and try to manipulate it and make it different. So those disruptors are usually people who bring innovation into the things because they see it from a very different side and they want to find a way around, sneak into it and develop things on their own. So I think disruptors are also people who bring progress to those games because they want to find ways around, they want to find ways to improve games. So if you're looking on finding new functions or new ways of thinking, I think you should address those disruptors. Also, in a gaming contest, there is the possibility to build your own maps or environments with somehow a customizer and then give it to the community. I think those are functions which are really great for disruptors. So they are try to find a way to sneak around.
Okay.
Does it help?
Okay, Haifa. Yeah, I think it's
Thank you, sir.
But maybe those disruptors are not always good. So what I described in my last example, those guys who have written those scripts to be number one, it was not intended by us, and this disruption was not really good because it caused our servers to collapse because we had like too many interactions on the website and it broke down. So the only good thing from these disruptors were that we had to improve our security, but this can also happen. So disruptors are not always possible, but sometimes not possible, helpful, but sometimes if you use them very um, um, if you use them in a sensible way. Sorry.
yeah, it should be encourage us to be more careful and innovative in in the future of the developments. Okay, Alec, I think it's all for today's and from the participants. Thank you for your really active participation into these sessions. Mr. Sukiman, do you have any closing remarks?
I think it's enough.
Okay, I think it's
Thank you
enough.
for Mr. Alex and all of my students that have been actively participate in this lecture. Good appreciation for all.
Thank you, Mr. Sukirman. And yeah, and once again, Alex, thank you for your time, and I think you should enjoy your springs This is a break, and I hope to see you
Next week
in
ada lagi, Pak. Next week
uh,
atau
I
only
don't
one.
think maybe can you give another in the futures, Alex?
Yes, sure. We can talk about
Yes.
another topic. And then
Yeah.
it was an honor for me. Thank you very much for the very interesting and very good questions. You have very good and very highly motivated students. It was a pleasure for me to answer those questions and to interact with you. Thank you very much. It was an honor for me. Thank you for the invitation, Diaz.
Yes, thank you, Alex. It's yeah, I hope if this is not the end, and maybe in the near futures after our breaks, we can talks and some of another international lectures will happen again with you, maybe with Matis and with our colleagues here. Okay, and once again, thank you for everyone for being active participants for today's sessions. We look forward to seeing you in the futures and yeah, with that, I officially conclude that this international lecture series will be closed and stay motivated, stay curious, and just keep learning. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Yeah,
Waalaikumsalam.
yes. Thank you, Alex, and see you in the near future. Bye bye. Enjoy your breaks.
Thank you, Alex. See you next time.
Thank you, Le.
Thank
Ini berarti seri untuk game edukasi serampung, Pak.